What? You want to move to Boston? Are you crazy? There's no way you're moving here unless... Hey everyone, you probably don't know me. My name is Matt Swierk, local real estate expert in Massachusetts. Welcome to our channel. If this is the first time you've come, you definitely want to subscribe. Click the bell. Every time we make a new video, you're going to get notified. So what's this all about? We talk everything about Massachusetts, whether it's eating, sleeping, drinking, playing, or some of the reasons you shouldn't come here. So you have questions, we have answers. Go ahead, send us an email, shoot us a text, get us a phone call, whatever makes you comfortable. We'll get back to you. Definitely comment on the video below. We love to get feedback. Appreciate you watching. And remember, when it comes to Massachusetts, we've always got your back. All right, so today, as much as we love living around the Boston area, or some of our team members are in the Boston area, we're diehards of Massachusetts, but there's definitely a lot of things you'd want to consider before you move here. And, we figured let's give you a couple of the top things. We don't want to do a little bait and switch by getting everyone excited to come here and then say, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was going to happen. So we'll give you some details, then you can decide, and if you don't like what we said, don't come to Massachusetts. Nah, I'm teasing. We love everyone. Come check us out. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and my wife gets really upset about this, and this is a common theme that you're going to hear in a lot of the videos. Yes, we're going to drive it into people's heads because we want to set the proper expectations. It's really cheap to live here. Okay, I said that with a straight face. That's a lie. It is expensive, right? Everything, there's no way you can get around it, right? From living in the city, whether it's rent values, home values, health insurance, auto insurance, the cost is high. And I think that there's a lot of great amenities as far as living in the city. The lifestyle is fantastic. So a lot of people, even though it's going to cost an arm and a leg to live there, a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm coming to Boston. So get ready. Save your pennies for a rainy day. Nice day out today, by the way. But save your pennies because you're going to need it when you come move to Boston. The other thing that we like to talk about is the crowds, okay? Now, we have a really small city. I thought it was giant as a little kid, and then all of a sudden I made the mistake of going to New York City, complete fish out of water, and I was like, whoa, what is this place? Now, Boston's not like that. We're really compact. There's traffic. There's traffic. There's lots of people. There's lots of cars. It can get really, really aggravating. So I can deal with Massachusetts. I can deal with Boston traffic a little bit. I've moved out to the suburbs, so when I have to go back in, I'm scratching my head, being like, how do people deal with this? But it's crowded. And what's really funny is, I was talking to someone from out of state, and they were like, "What's the average lot sizes?" And I'm like, they can put a house on my finger, on my pinky nail, right? Like, it's tiny. You're like a quarter acre. So imagine that. Everything's really tight. It's not like some of the places I'll pinpoint Texas, right? So you got the postage stamps and like McMansions everywhere, and you can Well, I take that back because I had a place in East Boston. It wasn't a house. I rented an apartment, and if I put my window down and reached across, I could definitely grab some cookies from my neighbor. So that was pretty tight, and of course that's East Boston. So we're packing it in really tight. Development is all over the city, so you got to be prepared for that. If you're not into crowds, you don't want to come here. All right, another thing, and we're getting into the middle of it. We just had our first snow of the year. A little bit of a dusting, right? And I think it was kind of late for us, just like a lot of communities. I know Colorado's been fighting for their snow. I don't know if they want to fight for it, but that's a big thing. There was no snow there, and I have some people coming in from out of town. They're like, well, hopefully there's going to be some snow when we come. And I'm like, I don't want the snow. I don't want to deal with the cold, right? And especially. This is not Texas. This is not California. Even though Texas had a really hard time last year with some of their freezes because they're not prepared for what they went through. We're prepared for it, and we love to complain about the winter. And I think we're supposed to be pretty tough, but we are. That's one thing about Bostonians and just Massachusetts in general. We're really, really quick to complain about the weather. And what makes things crazy is we have the nor'easters that come in. Years ago, we had this really cool phenomenon that we had blizzard after blizzard after blizzard. We had like 6 of them in a row, and it all happened to start on Sunday afternoon and then go right into Monday night. So what an absolute mess. I mean, there was snowbanks upon snowbanks. They had to bring the snow eaters in, which is like these giant things that just melt the snow. I don't even know what they do with the water because it's going to freeze as soon as they melt it. But the nor'easters, that can be a mess. We have this really fun phenomenon as well, that when the major snowstorm is coming, everyone gets really excited to go to the grocery store and get bread and milk. I don't know what it is. It's just like, it's just one of those things. Like, as a little kid, it's like, it's snowing, we gotta get bread and milk. And I'm lactose intolerant, like too much information. So I'm like, it's just a weird thing. So I don't know why people have to run out and get bread and milk, right? Like, maybe you'd be snowed in for a couple hours, if that. But I'm not talking like the blizzard of '78 where we got pounded when I was a little kid. So that's something, it's funny because it's freezing. We get the wind chills going in. It's 10 degrees in the morning. Like we're waiting for the cars to warm up, and it can be painful and agonizing. That, like I said, that wind chill. So you got to be prepared as far as the winter is concerned, and never mind as far as the winter and the cold, the driving too. I'm not going to get too deep as far as driving, but I had someone else that said, what's it like driving in the snow? And I don't even know how to describe that to someone that's never driven in snow, right? So it's like, get your seatbelt on, which is a law here, and just get your knuckles nice and white from gripping the steering wheel and just going for it. Because, and here's my tip of the day, right? If you are driving on ice or snowy roads and you're starting to skid, turn into the direction of the skid, get control of your car back, and then go, right? So that's my driving lesson. I was not a driver's ed person, but I always remember that. And as difficult as it is, when you start to panic, when your car's about to spin out of control, just go in the direction of the skid and you'll be good to go. So yeah, call me for driving lessons. I take that back. Don't call me for driving lessons. I'm not gonna teach you. That's not my profession. All right. So here's another thing, right? Is that you may gain a lot of weight and become unhealthy here. Why? We have so many food options, right? There's food everywhere, and it's amazing, and it's gonna, it's so diverse. It doesn't matter where you go. You're gonna find some place that's gonna be there that's, serving food for the hungry people, serving food for the people that are hungover. Yeah, I said it. So, that, again, if you lack self-control, or you come here in the wintertime and we turn into hibernation mode, and we're like, we got to beef up because the winter's coming, we channel our inner beers. See, I said that funny, beers. Bears, what? Should we back up and cut that?
No.
Yeah, we're already in there.
We're in there.
Yeah. Whatever. Here we go. That's the magic of the internet. It's on a camera, by the way. So, I'm a little punchy right now. So, you got to be prepared that you have to have self-control, and you got to have motivation and discipline. So that way, if anyone went to college and you packed on that freshman 15, well, the Bostonian. I should make that up, like the Bostonian 20. That's not a real thing, but there's so many good foods here, and I'm not going to talk about one of my favorites. I'll skip it on this video. Big surprise. But if those of you who watch the videos, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Here's another thing that I've found in a couple cities, but not a lot of them, is that we are obsessed with our sports, right? Now, I think what's really funny, and that's something people can get really annoyed about, because, let me give you an example, right? Now, being a Bostonian, I love all the 4 major sports teams, right? And we have Major League Soccer, and I apologize to any of those people that are into soccer, because I just, that kind of came later, and I played it as a little kid, and not that I had any business doing that. But of course, we have hockey, we have football, we have basketball, and we have baseball. Now, I am not a baseball fan by nature. I am not a basketball fan by nature. However, you want to get into an argument with me about the Celtics or the Red Sox, let's bring it on. I'm passionate. Right? For no reason. I'm not even into the teams. So when we start getting into those little chants, and it's a PG show, so I'm not going to, you might have heard it. It's happened across the other cities, but especially with the Yankees, there's we get really riled up again. We're referencing New York a couple times in this video, I guess, but I have an inferiority complex, right? So I think that's what's really funny, is we're super passionate about the sports, and luckily, we have a right to be passionate about that, and we kind of have that ego about it, because, we win a lot. We win a lot. We constantly have these parades. Of course, I'm going to say we founded kind of those floating parades because we have the duck boats here in Massachusetts. I really think that started here, of course. And so I remember, as far as the Patriots, long time before they actually finally started winning again. Yes, I remember the days that they didn't win, which is a really interesting concept for a lot of the millennials. There is a whole segment of our population that is very confused on, like, what do you mean we didn't make the playoffs? It is just an expectation, right? So I think that's an entitlement thing. There's probably people going to start throwing things at their phones or their laptops watching this, but it's true, right? Like, we're used to winning here. We've had. You've had the millennials have watched the Red Sox win 4 World Series, right? They've watched they've watched the Patriots win 6 times. They've watched the Bruins win. They've watched the Celtics win. So, Title Town, without a question, we've definitely gotten back, as far as those dynasties are concerned. The Celtics, that was a great organization when I was a kid. And again, I went to a lot of Celtics parades, even though I didn't have any interest in going to to anything to do with basketball. But it was a reason to skip school. And yes, I got caught one day, and the school came to the house, and what a mess that was. So it's we have this culture of success, and we have this culture of winning, and that's the other thing too. We were talking back to being crowded. When it comes to the sporting events, like, gonna say this with a huge ego, we show up for our teams, right? Like, Tyler and I just went to the game a couple weeks ago. When did we get there? We got there, like, the game was, I think, at 7. We got in town at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock. There was already traffic. There was always people, there's people everywhere. It was a madhouse. But the other thing, I was talking to a gentleman that lives in Foxborough. I just met him over the weekend, and I was saying, so what's your feeling on having all these people come in? And he said, I grew up here, so I'm used to it. And he was laughing because he said people that are new move into the community. So hint, hint, if you move to the community, and that might be you can't complain about when the Patriots are playing, right? Like, it's not like the schedule, it's not like well, they didn't play this week, but it's not like all of a sudden it's a big surprise of like, oh, hey, there's going to be a football game tomorrow, right? They actually plan out the season. So it can get really aggravating for people. And they've done a really good job of forcing people to go just kind of 2 major roads to get to Gillette Stadium, but there's still all those little back roads. So that's going to be another thing that you're going to think about, that if you're really not into sports and listening to a bunch of egotistical maniacs about how great our sports teams are, you may not want to move here. So just a couple little things. If what I said and you're thinking, I'm not dealing with the costs, I'm not dealing with the crowds, I'm not dealing with all that amazing food, I'm not dealing with you egotistical maniacs, that sounds like a nightmare to me, then you know what? Stay far away, because that's what you're going to get when you come here to Boston. All right, so we just finished filming this, and right before we got into this section, I said, Tyler, I feel like I was like angry and like with an attitude, and he was like, yeah, maybe that's, sometimes they got to see what it's all about, right? I got feedback from someone a long time ago, and they're like, you're not a real Bostonian, you didn't say it this way. Like I said, I've blended my words sometimes to seem like I'm more educated than I am, because I know that that's a hit for people. Like, why don't you say your R's? And why do you add an R to A's? I don't know, pizza, sofa, vodka, all those things. So anyway, we're not talking about my accent. I'm talking about my attitude. We're loving, we're cuddly, we're great people here in Massachusetts. We just want to give you a couple little fun things of what you might expect coming here to Boston. If you're looking to relocate, if you're looking here to, just you want to rent, you want to buy, if you're looking to just check out the area and come in for a vacation, go ahead, reach out to us. It can be from a phone. You can call us, you can text us, you can email us. It doesn't matter. Give us a call. You have questions. We have answers. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Appreciate you watching these videos. Just remember, when it comes to Massachusetts, we've always got your back.